אנחנו מטילים מצור מוחלט על העיר עזה. אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק. הכל סגור.
On January 26, the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to provide humanitarian aid to Gaza.
By 16 votes to 1, the State of Israel shall take immediate and effective measures to ensure the provision of urgently needed basic services and humanitarian assistance to address the adverse conditions of life faced by Palestinians in the Gaza Strip.
This was one of the 6 provisional measures to protect Palestinians from the risk of genocide. Yet, 3 months after the decision, famine is looming in Gaza. More than 30 people have died of malnutrition, 2.2 million are facing acute food shortages, and 50% of the population will suffer severe malnutrition, leading to deaths until May. Is famine in Gaza used as a weapon of war?
There is an agreed definition of famine by international humanitarian agencies.
Professor Alex De Waal explains that for a famine to occur, 3 distinct factors must converge: limited access to food for households, along with high levels of malnutrition and mortality among children.
When 20% of the population in a particular area breaches these thresholds, it passes from crisis to emergency and ultimately to famine. And what we have seen in Gaza is that a population that was under stress, nutritional and other stress before the war, descended into near famine and possibly now into famine conditions in a remarkably short period of time.
Over the past 17 years, 80% of Gazans have been supported nutritionally by humanitarian assistance. In fact, as the occupying power, Israel has been limiting access to food and other essentials.
The population of Gaza was being kept at the margins. The Israelis insisted that they were just staying on the right side of international legal obligations to provide what is essential for sustaining life. Now, quite clearly, what has happened after October the 7th is an enormous tightening of that siege.
Professor De Waal emphasizes that Gaza is a starvation crime scene.
The definition of the war crime of starvation under international law is the destruction or deprivation of what is necessary to sustain life, objects indispensable for survival. And those have been destroyed at scale, at a rate that we have not seen anywhere else in the world in recent times.
The war crime of starvation of civilians is defined in the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. But can Israel be further prosecuted? Professor De Waal says that there are 3 ways persecution could be attempted.
One would be to use the Genocide Convention. The Genocide Convention, Article 2C, prohibits deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. Now, the key difficulty there would be proving genocidal intent. There's the crime against humanity of extermination, which has the same actual acts, but the intent has to be simply to exterminate, and the crime has to be widespread and systematic.
Evidence for that intent would derive from the systematic nature of destruction.
And then there's the war crime of starvation. The prosecutor would argue that the Israelis are carrying out actions that bring about starvation as the normal course of events, regardless of their intention. So there are various options for prosecution, but of course the political will to bring these cases to a court is the big question.